we're about to see if it's gonna crank. So let's turn on the glow plug.
Oh yeah, chillin' with Cav.
Okay, so after scouring the internet, I found one guy in Poland. He wanted $119 per piston and $180 shipping per piston. I contacted him and I was like, hey, can you help me out with 3 of these? He came back with, it was $541 for 3 pistons with the rings. Massey Ferguson couldn't even tell me if they could get the pistons. I told him I have an E3 CD engine, right? I don't know if you could see it in there. E3 CD 1.98 liters. So it's roughly 1.5 liter diesel engine. E3 CD stamped on the engine. I can find that all day long on the internet. Massey Ferguson said all the dealers I called from Texas to Florida and everything in between told me they need the serial number. Well, guess what? Here's the serial number. Do you see the serial number? No, because it's not a stamp. It was a printed sticker. So they said, I'm sorry, we can't help you out without the serial number. Well, this particular engine, normally underneath this 1.498, normally there would be a little aluminum plate on the engine with the serial number. Well, this particular one, apparently, from what I understand, they didn't put it on the engine. So, you see my predicament. Anyway, so the guy in Poland said $541 with the rings. I said sold. Create me a listing on eBay saying exactly that with the rings, and I'll buy it now. And it only took like 5 days to get here. So he charged me, total was $65 for shipping and $119 a cylinder. And here's the kicker. All the Massey Ferguson dealers said they show a rebuild kit with 3 pistons and the rings, and just the pistons, which they couldn't guarantee me were the right ones, was like $650 without the rings. And then I asked one guy how much the rings were, and he said it was $320 per set. So I don't know what's going on with the people, but this guy was a lifesaver. 541 bucks was the cheapest I found, and it actually I asked him, I bought the owner's manual for this tractor, and in the owner's manual it tells you what the bore size is and what the stroke, and it's an 87 millimeter bore size with an 84 millimeter stroke. And you think you would give that to a Massey Ferguson dealer? Hey, I need a piston for this motor. It's an 87 millimeter bore with the 84 millimeter stroke. They would be able to look it up, but they don't tell you the dimensions, apparently, in their parts catalog. But this guy in Poland, I said, can you verify that these are the dimensions of the piston? He came back and he said, yes, that is it. So just put these on, or put these in with the rings. Let me show you the crap that I'm dealing with out here. And I'm no diesel mechanic. I'm out here working in the damn, and I got this thing down so I'm not laying in horse shit. So in order to get these bastards out, see if I can get you up in here. I'm gonna zoom out. So you got to take off the oil pan. Then the camera focus. Come on. Then you got to take off each one of these that holds on the rod that goes to the piston. So there's one there, one there and one there. And what's a pain in the butt is when you're doing this by yourself, you gotta, if they're not lined up at the bottom, like this one over here, you can't really see it. So you gotta get out, you gotta put a wrench on the crank it manually by hand until these are all at the bottom, loosen them up, get out, turn it again by hand, and keep going until you get all of them out. Same process when installing them. So now I got to clean all this up. I got to go buy some liquid gasket, which apparently in the manual that's what they say to use, and I can tell that it already had liquid gasket down here. Clean it up, get some liquid gasket, seal it up, fill it up with oil. Now I got to start on reassembling the head. So now I got to clean this back up again so I can put my head gasket on. And hopefully after I put it all back together, she will run again. And if it does, I will be tickled pink, because this is the first time I've ever ripped an engine down. Diesel engine and gas engine. I've never tore any engine down. And I'm not a mechanic, so if the shit works, oh my God. I don't want to ever do this again, but at least I know I could do it if I have to. But it's getting summertime. I need tractor to cut the grass, and I need a tractor to spread some gravel. Let me get back to it. There's the update. It's been a pain in the ass, and it's been a long time coming to get to this point. Whew. Until next time. All right, guys, it's a new day, and so far I'm trying to beat the rain. It's supposed to rain at around, well, right about now. So yeah, we got, let me turn this thing around. Got the head on. We got the valves installed, or the rocker arm assembly. Got the valve cover. This thing, you can't find gaskets or parts for these easily. So I used some Permatex Ultra Black. Put it on there, let it set for about 30 minutes to kind of firm up just a hair before I put this on. And then I set this down, hand tighten the nuts just a little to get a little bit, not to squeeze out everything, but just to get a little pressure on here. Then I'm gonna let it cure up, and then I'm gonna tighten it down more. Let me tell you what was a pain in the ass. That oil pan is not aluminum. It is like cast iron, and it weighs about 35 pounds. And trying to hold that bastard up with liquid gasket sealer on there and thread one of these bolts is a pain in the butt. Don't forget to take my wrench off there before I try turning it over. So, same deal with that. I'm hoping that joker won't leak, because I kind of struggled getting it up there by myself with one hand and trying to thread on the bolts. I'm gonna have to drain the water out of here, add some antifreeze, add the oil. I have to find a tube to go from here to here. I don't remember if I took it off and it just basically shattered in my hands, or if I lost it. So I'm gonna have to get another hose that goes to that. So oil, coolant. I'm gonna have to do some work on this guy. Bug is eating my ass, because this is not gonna seal very good to that. So I'm gonna have to do some work on that. And then I'm gonna have to charge the battery. Hopefully the battery still holds a charge. I want to thank my buddy JP from work for giving me his torque wrench. These bolts had to be tightened in a particular order. You had to go 14 pounds, 29 pounds, and then 54 pounds on all these bolts on the head gasket. Oh, look at the butterfly. Butterfly. So that was a big help. So yeah, not too much more to go. The only thing I'm concerned with is if I'm actually going to be leaking oil from this damn liquid gasket, because if I am, that's going to suck, because I'm going to have to pull the damn oil pan out. But if I have to do that, I have got to get some help, or maybe go get a jack stand and some lumber or something to help hold it up, because trying to manhandle that with one hand and thread a bolt in, or two bolts, so that you can free up another hand, was a real pain in the butt. So that's it for now. All right, that's it. That's it for my tractor horse shit repair video. Until next time. All right, guys, so another day after I bolted everything back on. I went to turn it over and I was not getting any compression. So
shit,
after reading through a bunch of forums and diesel repair websites about what could be the cause of no compression, and it's either your rings are not the right size, the piston's not the right size, you've got a gasket, a head gasket leak, or your valves could be messed up, or the valves are not set correctly. One thing that I read that was pretty interesting, it says if you change your head gasket, the thickness of the head gasket can determine, will ultimately affect your rocker arm on your valves. And if you screw down the rocker arm and it touches the top of your valves and they're too tight, it will keep the valve slightly open, and on your compression stroke, you will basically be venting out your compression through the valves because they're not closed all the way. So I tore the top end off again. I went and got a feeler gauge. My service manual says 0.35 is the gap for the valves. Learned how to do the valves. I just set the valves. They were tight. After I set the gap, I noticed that these were actually, they didn't have any, I don't know if you can see that. That's, well, I don't know where it is during the compression stroke right now. But they didn't have any play. I mean, it was actually, it was smushed down. So it had the valve slightly open. So I just fixed it. Now, we're about to see if it's going to crank. So let's turn on the glow plug. Glow plug. All right, here we go. Yeah! Woo! We are rocking and rolling. Purring like a kitten. Yay! All right. I'm done. I'm done. I rebuilt it. IT guy rebuilds diesel engine tractor. It was something very stupid. I was dreading that I was getting some type of leak around the piston rings, or I didn't do that correctly, but I know I put the rings in the correct orientation. There's a groove on one of the rings that has to be facing upwards. I did all that right. I was positive on how I installed the oil rings. The only thing I did not know about is the tolerances, because since Mom basically ran this thing without water and it overheated, I had to hone a little bit of the slag out of the cylinder, and I did not know, even though I very slightly honed it just to get the slag out of the cylinder, I didn't know if the tolerances were going to be too much for the rings and I was losing compression there. Because if that was the case, then all of the work that I did, putting on the oil pan, draining the oil, taking out the pistons, taking off the head, you can't get to the cylinder or the pistons or the piston rings without taking the head off, without taking the oil pan out. The whole thing has to come apart. So I was hoping that it was going to be a stupid little fix. And the other thing I was kind of hoping it wasn't was the damn head gasket, because if that's another thing, I got to take the whole head off and all that crap. So thank goodness it was just setting the valve. So lesson learned: every time you change a head gasket, the thickness of that head gasket, and let's see if I can get down, the thickness of the head gasket will ultimately raise the head up. And on your rocker arm, this bolt here is what determines, well, it ultimately will affect the height of these rockers. So if the head gasket's thicker or thinner, you might not, when you screw the rocker arm down, the rocker may be, you may screw down the rocker arm to where it presses in on the valve and causes compression to leak. And that's what it was. So after resetting all the tolerances to 0.35 on those, it runs. It runs. Success. So that was an adventure. Time to button this thing back up yet again. Thank God it's just a valve cover. And then I can start putting the hood and side pieces and all that on. So yeah, the tractor runs. I am absolutely thrilled. Until next time, later. Well, go through all the trouble of rebuilding this thing. Might as well give it a little coat of paint. I should have taken a before picture.
Ain't she pretty?
But it was pretty much just rust. So I sanded the whole thing, got all the rust off that I could, and hit it with a little paint. Make it look a little better, but I didn't want to ruin I didn't want to ruin the patina on my sticker. So I covered that up. So you could just see the age. But so yeah, she is running. The rust has been knocked off. Nice coat of paint that'll last, let's hope a few more years before I have to do that again. And I don't know what happened to the grill in the front. I'm thinking I might 3D print a grill or something, I don't know. But these lights were much brighter than the factory ones, so I'll put those on there. Only thing I gotta do is I think I'm gonna hammer this back. I don't know how that got bent. That one's straight, but this side, I'm gonna have to knock that back because it doesn't fit in that channel right. But anyway, finished. Done deal. Now, time to go grate the driveway. Yay! What you think, Bell Bean? Huh? We got the grater box on. I can finally spread out some gravel. Let me tell you, it's hard to find someone that will deliver gravel and then bring a tractor out here to spread it. It's also expensive. I did it one time for this strip right here, and I could only find one person to do it. It's about $300 for gravel, and another $350 just for someone to bring a tractor to spread it. So having this one running again is such a blessing. But what I did notice, I'm probably gonna have to do a little bit of hydraulic work. That's another thing I'm gonna have to learn, because when I try to lift this guy up, listen, it struggles. It's like I got air in the line or low on hydraulics, I don't know. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. But it'll work for now. It's just hard to fine tune where I don't dig too much down into the gravel. But anyway, let me finish this up. But it's working. I gotta clean this up with some Windex. All right, say bye, Bill. Bye, Bill. Bye.